Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We know there are going to be some people coming in the next few minutes, but I want Jim to have as much time as possible. I think most everybody understands that we support Jim's work, have been for several years, and we know he's doing a good job. And if you ever have a chance to look at a world map, if you're somewhat familiar with where Benin is, you just look to the east and south, the southeast of Benin, kind of around the hook of the coastline of West Africa there, and you'll see the country of Cameroon. Feel free to ask Jim questions later. Let him have the opportunity to present what he has to show us and tell us about his work, and then you can ask him questions afterward.
Thanks, Sonny. Scott has this fancy iPad, but I think I'm going to be able to work it. Can you all hear me? Because Marilyn told me that I wasn't loud enough earlier, and I guess it's after listening to her so long that she's so loud that I've kind of... Is she in here? I want to give that girl as much trouble as I can. Okay. I want to begin. You know, I don't know, probably made 5 reports to y'all. I don't know how many. I always begin the same way, and that's by saying thank you. I am very much aware that people like me are able to do what we do because of brethren like y'all. Mission work ain't free, and you know that. And in fact, I'm leaving 2 weeks from Tuesday to go back to Cameroon, and I called up Delta Airlines about 2 months ago and said, I'm fixing to go to Cameroon, need a ticket. I'm going to preach the gospel. And they said, oh, you're going to preach the gospel? The ticket's on us. And if you believe that, okay, I've got some beachfront property in Wichita, Kansas. I'll sell you real cheap, okay? And so I will never be able to adequately say thank you. I have 2 slides. The next 2 slides are videos. And let me set them up. In Cameroon, we ride on motorcycles. They call them machines, okay? What you're going to see, I'm on the back of a machine, and I'm the photographer, okay? And so this will give you some idea of what it's like to ride one over there. I just love it. Now, if you, now I hit it, Scott. Oh, there you go. Okay. I'm going to but they are nowhere fast. And so, anyway, I thought you'd enjoy those. What I want to do now, we're going to talk for a few minutes about the seminar that we just conducted. It was our 17th. We've been doing these since 1999. What we're doing, and you're going to hear this several times in this report, everything that we're doing in Cameroon is aimed at the future. okay? 2 generations from now, long after I'm dead and gone, okay? And one of the primary things that we're doing, we've been doing this, like I said, since '99, is a teaching seminar where we bring leaders to us, first of all in Douala, that's French speaking, then in Kumba, that's English speaking, and we train them. We trained about 290 this past February. My co-teacher's Chris Lowe, the tall guy there. He's a shepherd for the Cloverdale Church of Christ in Searcy. Louise Clement. Okay, let me go back to Chris very quickly. Chris had been with me twice previously on campaigns. This was his first time to teach. Louise is from Lubbock. This was her fourth trip to Cameroon. They did a great job. What I want to show you here, at the end of the seminar, we give out an evaluation sheet for them to evaluate us. And we tell them, don't put your name on it. Feel free to, if you want to rip us, fine. We don't want you to feel intimidated. And here are just 5 of literally hundreds of comments. Where'd they go? What happened, Scott? There, okay. The seminar is helpful because it prepares the leaders and future leaders for a brighter future. That goes back to that thing, future. Hey, I'm going to die someday. And so are you, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. And if we want the church to grow, whether it be in Benin or Cameroon or fill in the blank, it's going to be done by them. Y'all, okay, you're having this summer series, which is cool. But a preacher from some other place can come in here, they encourage you for a short period of time, but they can't grow this congregation. And if we want the church in Cameroon to grow, it will grow because of Cameroonians, not because of Americans. Number 2, I love the class of Sister Louise because she helps the sisters grow in their faith. Now, let me tell you why I put this one up. There are a lot of the comments were, I love Sister Louise because she helps me better teach kids and stuff like that, which is cool. But what I liked about that is the faith thing. I don't care who you are, you can only do what your faith allows. You can't give more money than your faith allows. You can't teach more than your faith allows. You can't do more than your faith is your ceiling, okay? And one of the things, and I know I've shared this with you before, but it's been 4 years at least, and I can't remember yesterday, and I'm hoping you can't remember yesterday as far as previous reports. And in this sense, in Africa, women are not second-class citizens. They're not third. I don't know how far down the food chain you have to go to find a woman, okay? And one thing, for example, if an African man and woman marry, and say 3 years go by and there's no child, she's infertile. There are no infertile African men in their brain, okay? Men in Africa believe that men are smarter than women, which shows you how dumb they are, okay? But they really believe that. And so one of the things that we've been doing for many, many years now is in these classes, we're trying to help these ladies understand, guess what? You are as important as the brothers. Now, you have different roles. I understand that. But the women, it's really been a blessing to them. Chris helped me leave the field of legalism into the field of love. Chris's class was on love. He dealt with the love that God has for us, for the lost, the love we're to have for one another. I can't explain Chris to you because you don't know him, but he's a great shepherd, great teacher, and just did a fantastic job. Number 4, the seminars promoted spiritual maturity and helped us to better manage conflicts. I want to talk about this for a minute. There are 210 congregations in Cameroon. 2 have elders. 2 out of 210. The church has been in Cameroon since the late 50s. There's been an American presence since 1967. But once again, 2 out of 210. And what happens oftentimes, they don't have elders, as I've said, and so they will have business meetings, which, no problem. And their term is they shout on one another, okay? When they disagree, they get into a verbal shouting contest. One of the things I do every February at the seminar is I interview, around 20 preachers and just, find out, what's happening. And one of the guys this year told me, says, Jim, since the seminars, not just this one, it's accumulation. He says, we don't shout one another in our meetings. Now, we still have disagreements. Hey, everybody in this room is not going to agree on everything. When I was at Sunset, there were 17 elders. And one of the elders was also one of our instructors. And he told us one day, he said, boys, he said, in our meetings, sometimes we have knockdown, drag-out fights. But once we come up, once we agree, okay, this is the way it's going to be, then we're united, okay? And so this was music to my ears, number 4. Number 5, we've learned to be united in love so that unbelievers will copy our ways. Those are just some of the things that they said. Okay, this is a picture in Douala. I was talking to Sonny in Maryland last night. Cameroon, unlike most African countries, was colonized by both British and French. If you look at a map of Africa, and you just picked out every country, the vast majority of the countries were colonized either by the French or the British, not by both. But Cameroon was colonized by both. Roughly 80% of Cameroon, in both population and landmass, is French. 20 is English. But as far as the church is concerned, you flip it. Out of the 210 congregations, 170 are English, 40 are French. Now, there's several good reasons for that. Most of the mission work has been done on the English side. In 1967 in Nigeria, eastern Nigeria, the Biafran War broke out. There were some American missionaries who had to flee the country. They hopped over into Cameroon. They were on the English side. They spoke English. Voila. They set up camp. They started teaching, preaching, baptizing, all that kind of jazz. And so much of the work was done there. This picture, this is in Douala. If I had a picture, I've got a picture, not in this presentation, of Kumba, that's the English, it'd be 3 times this size, just because of the numbers. But anyway, that's the brethren in Douala who came to the seminar. Okay, now we're going to change gears. Everything we're doing is aimed at what can we do to help them become independent of us. And one of the things we're doing is we're doing some village work. And what the village work is comprised of, in the picture, starting from the left to right, the guy on the left, his name is Jacob. He preaches in a place called Bayamanya. The guy next to him, his name is Surplus. I've had people say, where did he get that name? I said, talk to his parents. I don't know where he got Surplus. And if you could see Surplus, you'd find out there's not a lot of surplus to surplus. He's a little guy, okay? He preaches in a place called Masui. The guy kneeling, his name is Henry, and he preaches in a place called Munyingi. For a minute, I'm going to forget the guy on top. I'm going to come back to him. Then the tall guy between the 2 guys on the right, his name is Jerry. Good African name, right? He preaches in a place called Petabikunda. Now, when I say preaches, these guys are not full-time preachers, okay? They're the farmers or businessmen who on Saturday go to the village and they will visit backsliders. They'll teach the church in some class. They will evangelize. They'll do whatever the church needs them to do. On Sunday morning, they will teach Bible class. They will preach. Henry, the guy kneeling, in one of his recent reports to me, he has 2 men in the congregation who have an aptitude for teaching, and so he's helping them, he's training them, he's mentoring them. Now, here's the mission behind the village work. Villages in Cameroon are no different than rural America. Since 1991, I have worked with literally 473 congregations in the United States with World Bible School. Some have been big churches, some have been little churches, city churches, rural churches, all over the place. Rural America, and you know this, is not growing. The church in rural America is not growing. Because us old people have this bad habit of dying, right? And the young people don't usually stay in the small town. Now, sometimes they do. Well, the same thing is true in villages in Cameroon. If I'm 18 years old, 19, 20, and I want to get further education, I got to leave the village. And if I don't want to be a farmer, some of them do, but if I want to do something more than farming, I got to leave the village. And I got to go to the big city. Well, our focus, hey, I love the big people, okay? But our focus is on the little guys and girls. Because we understand if we can help these kids grow up to love Jesus, when they are 18, 19, 20, whenever, and they leave and they go to the big town, guess what? The kingdom still grows, doesn't it? The kingdom still grows. Now, the guy in the middle, his name is Solomon. The guy on the far right, his name is Vincent. These are good brothers who helped me as far as I funnel money to them. Oh, all we pay these guys transport and about $5 a week. So they ain't getting rich, okay? This isn't a moneymaker on their part. So it's something that we're able to do through our Cameroon Mission Fund, and it's not a problem financially. Okay, I'm going to show you two slides real quick. These girls are French, and then these girls are English. Okay, this is also some village work we're doing. They've all been trained by Louise. That was that lady I showed you early on. They go out to villages, and you'll have a village here, okay, with a small church, maybe 4 churches around them, something like that. And they will train the sisters how to teach kids. We've written 4 sets of Bible school curriculum for little kids. They take a copy to every church. We had, I'll mention Louis. I was talking to Ed before worship. There's a kid named Louis Basai. Louis is just, I love Louis to death. And Louis and his wife Linda, they coordinate all of this. And one day Louis came to me and said, Jim, we need a CD of the kids' songs to take to these villages. And I said, what are you talking about? Who in a village is going to have a CD player? They have no electricity. He said, hey, I guarantee you, in every church there's going to be someone who has a battery-powered CD player. I said, okay, no problem. So I didn't, Louis and a bunch of folk in Cameroon, put together a CD of 50 kids' songs, sung by our kids, our Cameroonian children. I think there were 38 English and 12 French or something like that. And we're now working on volume number 2, okay? And so when these ladies go out, they give every church a CD, they give every church a copy of the material, and here was my initial thinking. I told the ladies, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll have you go out, let's say January, just to pick a month. And then 6 months later, we'll have you make a second follow-up to the same place. And you'll let them know you're coming, and one of them said, no, Jim, that's a bad idea. Okay, why is it a bad idea? The second visit, we need to come unannounced. And I got to thinking, when I was like 19 and 20, I worked in Wichita for Fox Theaters, and I ran a theater. Okay, we knew when the district manager was coming, and brother, did we clean. When that guy hit our theater, that thing, you talk about eating off the floor, that was crystal clear. And they said, we've got to come unannounced. So we'll surprise them, and we'll find out. Are they having a class? Are they teaching a class? Were they prepared? And we have been so pleased. Now, hey, I'm not a fool, neither are you. You're never going to have 100%. I know that. But here's what we found so far. Roughly 75%, when they go back on that second visit, they're having classes. They have a bunch of kids there. The ladies are well prepared. They're doing their job. And so we're very well pleased with this work. And once again, with these ladies, we pay their transport. And we pay, we don't even pay them any money. It's volunteer work. And they're doing a great job. Let me tell you very, very quickly about the lady on the left, Diana. She's such a special lady. She's about 58 years old. She's a widow with one grown child, okay? She has an orphanage. Now, not the way you would think of an orphanage. Her orphanage is in her house, okay? 2 years ago when I went to visit her, she had 23 kids. They ranged in age from about 3 months to 16 years. 23 kids. We're talking about a house. I've been in her house. She has 2 bedrooms with 2 bunk beds in each one. She has a large parlor. I don't know where she stacks all these kids. Last year, not February of 2015, but 14, she's up to 35 kids. And this year, she's up to 45. And I'm going to see her in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to ask her, because I've never asked her, where do these kids sleep? You know, but she's an incredible lady, and she also coordinates our village work. So anyway, she's a special girl. Okay, let me tell you, I'm going to just go ahead and pop all these up, and I'll explain Tom to you in just a minute. Okay. The Bible school curriculum that we've written up to this point, we've titled it Noble Age. So we have Noble Age 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all written for kids, little kids, okay? Noble Age 5 is our first curriculum aimed at teenagers. Cameroon is about 15 million people. 40% of the population is under the age of 15. A lot of kids, okay? And so we're writing this curriculum. We're writing it right now. Notice number 2. Oh, I thought I had all 4 popped up. The goal is dedicated lives. I told you in the sermon, I was raised in the church. I think you and I, and I'm overstating the case, I know this. But too often in our evangelism, our goal is to get them in the water, and once they're in the water, we're done with them. We do a terrible job of discipling, of helping them understand, hey, guess what? Christianity is not getting dunked. It's giving your life to God. It's changing the way you live forever. And we want to raise a generation of youngsters. Hey, you know what? And I was telling Sonny in Maryland this. As I've gotten older, I feel more comfortable ragging on old people, okay? Because I are one. And those of us who are a little older, and I know some of y'all look at me and call me a young whippersnapper, and that's okay. But you know, the older you get, the more set in your ways you are. And we got some brethren in Cameroon, and I love them to death, but their heads are just hard as, you know, the nearest concrete wall. My dad was like that. I love my dad. My dad died in 1999. If you wanted to demolish a wall, just have my dad's head hit it a couple times, that wall's going down. And we got some brethren over there like that, and I kind of leave them alone because I know they're kind of where they're at, and God bless them. But we want to raise up a generations of kids who understand that Christianity is more than Sunday worship. Tom Kimmy. He's where I worship. He's our youth minister. He's going to head up the teachers on this side of the ocean. There's I think 4 over here and 3 over there. Louis Besai is going to be the final editor. Now, he and I, we're not co-editors. Now, the way this is going to work, Tom, when his guys get their lessons to me, which will be within the next month, I will edit all of them. I'll read them. I have a little knowledge of Cameroon, but I don't have Louis' knowledge of Cameroon, obviously. And once I'm done, I'll send them to Louis, and he can, oh, this is not a good illustration, this won't work here. Fine, he can do whatever changes he wants. On his side of the ocean, he will send his lessons to me primarily for grammar. Now, Noble Age 4 has 60 lessons. And Louis had emailed me like 2 years ago and said, Jim, will you edit all of Noble Age 4? And I thought, holy moly. And so I emailed him back and said, well, wait, let's do this. I'll do 15 lessons. Louise will do 15. You do 15. And Linda, his wife, do 15. And he said, okay. So I did my 15. And then Louise emails me and says, I can't open the attachment. I can't do it. Okay. So I did Louise's 15. So I've got 30 down. And it's about time to go to print. And so I emailed Louis and say, you and Linda, you got yours done? And he emails back and says, could you do them? And so I did them. And primarily it's a grammar thing. I'll catch spelling errors and things like that. But the bottom line is, he is going to be the one who will be the final editor as far as content. And this is something I really want you to pray about, because I've used the word future, this may be the third time. This is what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about what happens in Cameroon after I'm dead and gone. Okay, let me just put up, I'll go ahead and put all these up here and I'll talk about them one at a time. What's the name of this ministry? Number one, give a vision of independence. My experience in Africa is very limited. It's limited to Ghana and Cameroon. I've made 23 trips to Ghana. I've made 50 trips to Cameroon. What I've seen, and then I've talked to missionaries who've lived in other countries and stuff. And the African mind oftentimes is a dependent mind. We need you, okay? And I will tell them over and over again, did y'all know God's not a white man? Do you know God is not an American? The same Bible that we use, you use. The same God that is my God is your God. But it's going to be something that will take time to help them really understand, hey, we can do it with the power of God, with the help of God. Train leaders who are Christ-focused, and the key word there is Christ-focused. Once again, going back to when I was growing up, in the church, and this is an overstatement, okay, I know that. We were very dogmatic. We would fight at the drop of a hat, and oftentimes we would drop the hat. I mean, it was like, it was almost like we enjoyed it, okay? Our focus was on being right. Now, hey, I believe in sound doctrine, okay? We need to teach the truth. The issue is not take sound doctrine and throw it out the window. No, that's not what I'm saying. But we need to be focused on Jesus. He's the one who died for us last time I checked, right? And if we can get our focus on Him, then the doctrine will follow. And then develop future generations with an S. Yeah, that's what we're after. That's what we're after. We're after what is going to happen to the church. I know the Lord can come back today. I understand that. But if He doesn't, we want the church to be in good shape down the road. Now, I'm going to be very presumptuous because I want to talk about the next 30 years. Louis told me this past February, he said, well, Jim, with your health, you ought to be able to come over for at least 20 more years. Okay, I'm 65, and so my math says that would make me 85, right? I think that's right. I've never been 85, okay? Don't know what it feels like to be 85. Don't know if 85, if I'll even be alive, what energy level I'll have, what health, God knows, right? And so I'm being a little presumptuous here, but here's what I think is going to happen. I really believe this. Number one, Christ-like members. Now this goes back to the previous slide, number 2. Leaders who are Christ-focused. In the church, it is possible to have faithful members in a church that is not strong without strong leadership. Sardis is a perfect biblical example. Because Jesus says in Revelation 3 that they were a dead church, right? They were dead. But in this dead church, He said, there's some of you who will walk with me in white. But having said that, at least my belief is, generically, the flock will never surpass the shepherds. Whatever level of leadership you have, that's going to be generically the leadership of what you'll have in fellowship. And so we want members, we want to train leaders, first of all, who then will help the members be Christ-like. Members who reason the Scriptures. And I want to talk about this. So many of our members in Cameroon believe what they believe because the preacher said it, or dad said it, or mom said it, or fill in the blank. I was in Wichita some years ago, making a report to my home congregation. And I put up on the screen problems in Cameroon. And I had church building mentality, lack of faith, and I can't remember the third one. and some brother from the audience said, "You talking about them or us?" Touche. You know, it's not like we have all of our ducks in a row, right? But here's the problem. Okay, let's go back to the preachers. Here's my experience with African preachers. They're not good thinkers. They're good robots. They're good regurgitators. They went to preaching school. They were taught this is the answer to doctrine question A, and they can spit that sucker out like that. But it isn't something they've reasoned through. And what we're trying to do in our seminars is help the men. Number one, in Cameroon, oftentimes in an adult Bible class, it's pure lecture. There's no interaction. There's no question. And you don't challenge the teacher, because he'll knock you down. And you know, I don't know about you. I don't like to be criticized. Do you? Do you like for people to you know, rain on your parade? I don't think that's normal. And so, you know, you're the teacher. Okay, I'm the teacher, and I've taught my class, and no one's objected. And so I'm thinking, hey, you know, they all agree with me. Well, maybe yes, but maybe in the past somebody disagreed, and I jumped down his throat, and he didn't want to get jumped down anymore, so he just keeps his mouth shut. We want to get leaders who cultivate an atmosphere that says, okay, Bill, what do you think about this? And Bill may say something that I don't believe. But instead of saying, well, Bill, you're an idiot, or at least in some way conveying that, I listened to Bill. I had a guy where I used to preach. His name was Alva Ford. Alva was at least 30 years older than I was. I love Alva Ford to death. This man, he and I disagreed on a whole bunch of stuff. But he would come up to me after a sermon, not often, but often enough, and say, Jim, I don't think you're right on that. And we'd get aside, and we'd have a discussion. And when we left, he had a smile on his face, and I had a smile on my face. I don't think I ever changed Alva's view on whatever we were arguing about. He never changed mine. But I loved his attitude. One day he came to church. He had a nice blue suit on. I said, now, Alva, when you die, I want that suit. And 2 weeks later, he calls me on the phone and says, Jim, come over here. I went over to his house. He gave me the suit. He gave me an overcoat. Now, I live in Texas, so we don't use overcoats just a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? I've got an overcoat that will outlive me, that Alva Ford gave me, okay? The thing is, I like his attitude. We want our teachers, our preachers, to help the brethren understand, hey, number one, I'm not God. I can be wrong. And to help the brethren learn to think for themselves. And then number 3, mature shepherds. I told you 2 out of 210. I mean, God knows the future. I don't know the future. I believe, I really believe this, that within the next 30 years, we will have, I would say, at least half of those churches with elders. That's what I hope. If there's more, that'd be great too. But that's what we want. We're looking for a church where they can say to Jim Corner, hey, Jim, you know, we love you, brother. Thank you for what you did. See you later. We don't need you anymore. That's what I want. That's what I want. That won't happen in my life, but I want it to happen to Americans. Okay, Ephesians 5:8. If you were once darkness, but now you're light in the Lord, live as children of light. You know what? Whether you're in Benton, Kentucky, Garland, Texas, Benin, Cameroon, or any place else on planet Earth, we live in a dark world, don't we? Everywhere. And Jesus tells us in Matthew 5, we're to be light and salt, right? He says we're the light of the world. He also said he was the light of the world, right? We're to reflect him. And that's what we're trying to do in Cameroon. That's what you're trying to do in Benin. You know, you're doing a great work by training men. I know the church in Benin has just mushroomed since y'all got involved. Were there 2 congregations there when y'all first started? Oh, none. Okay. You know, and so y'all have done just a great job there. And your goal, whether it's in Benin or helping me in Cameroon or any place else that you do mission work, is to be light. That's the goal. If you're more interested, if you want to look at our website, you can go to Cameroon, CameroonForChrist.org. I know what it is. It has a lot of information there about what we've done in the past, what we plan to do in the future. There's just a lot of information there. And then I finished the way I began. Every time I speak at a congregation like y'all who supports me, I always say thank you, which I think you need to do. You remember when Jesus, the 10 lepers came to him and said, please have pity on us. And he says, go see the priest, and on the way, voila, they're healed. And you remember one guy came back? Remember Jesus says, maybe my memory's going bad. I thought I did 10. Now, I know he didn't say exactly that, but the point is, he understood it's right to say thank you. You need to say thank you when people do things for you. And I'm so grateful for what you have done for this ministry. And I know, because I know me, when I'm headed back to Texas, I will think to myself, Jim, you didn't do a good enough job of saying thank you. I know I'm going to do that. But I finally come to grips with the fact that I never will. It's kind of like this. Let me give this quick illustration and then I'm done. Okay, at Christmas time, if someone gives you a $5 gift, $5, you'll say thank you, and thank you covers $5, right? You know those stupid Lexus commercials they have every year at Christmas time, where hubby buys wifey a car, vice versa? You know what? If someone gave you $50,000 for Christmas, I don't know about you, but thank you ain't going to cut it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, $50,000 warrants more than thank you. God bless you, I'm out of here. And here's the thing. It's not so much the money you're giving. It's the souls you're touching. You know what? Heaven is going to be so cool for a lot of reasons. But here's one. Someone's going to come up to Ed in heaven one day and say, Ed, thank you so much for teaching me the gospel in Cameroon. Never made Cameroon. Yeah, but you supported a school that sent a guy, or you supported Jim Corner who came. And we're going to have a lot, see, because through mission work, our tentacles go out, right? By giving money, we're like me. Today, I've preached in Russia, Mexico, Jerusalem, Tanzania, and New Zealand, and Benton, Kentucky, and Cameroon, all today. Because I give money to works, because my congregation supports those other places. And you do the same thing. And anyway, I just want to say thank you. I'm done. What are we on time? I can handle questions, or we can say sayonara, or whatever. Yes? Oh, you just scratch. Okay. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.